Assalamu alaikum, family, and shalom. Welcome to another episode of Our Journey Towards Eden. Okay, family, welcome. We have another good one for you. Okay, so I'm sure you all are beginning to become familiar with this gentleman here, Mr. Aman Ra. Me and Amadi have been really sitting basically at his table, receiving so much wisdom and knowledge, and some things befitting for the camera and some not. So I asked him when we were having one of these conversations, can we have a conversation on camera? Because I feel like some of the things that you're sharing is very beneficial to the returnees that are coming that's really not familiar with the culture. So he was so gracious and said that he would be more than happy to just kind of talk to our audience. And we hope that something that's said today will be helpful and that you can take and apply it to your life. Okay, so without further ado, this is Mr. Aman Ra. And for the ones who may not have seen any of our previous video, go ahead on and introduce yourself.
Beside Uncle Mendra, I am also called Uncle Spider in the community because I am able to create a small community called Falinkuta, which is called New Beginning. Okay, we just want to do a little bit of paradigm shift, you know, because the whole culture has been bombarded with westernization and the Arabization, and then we don't recognize ourselves anymore. So as a youth coming up with, I want to recognize what were my ancestors doing before these invaders came in here, you know? So I said, okay, I'm going to set up a community because I have access to this plot of land, and then create my like-minded brothers, bring them closer so we can live in an environment where we can see if we can do what we were doing before, okay? So my name is, I have this Arab name called Alaji Lamin Kamara.
Okay.
Okay, Kamara is my family name, and then because I was raised as a Muslim, so I also have this name Spider, which is the 29th chapter of the Holy Quran, and also which is a story which appears in the story of Prophet Muhammad when he was escaping Mecca to Medina, and the spider played that role of saving him. And then also with this www, that is World Wide Web. I don't know where they world get the web from.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the spider of me.
Okay.
Okay, and then yes, I am pleased to be, associated with you, and shalom to my brothers and sisters out there. Yes, and then yes.
Okay.
That's me.
Well, thank you for breaking that down because it makes sense.
Okay.
Because we were introduced to you by Sister Fatu, and I was telling her my heart. I'm like, me and my husband are Pan-African. We also are community oriented, and we've had some challenges here. We've been here 3 years, and we've met some amazing people, but we have also had some challenges. And I told her my heart, and she said, oh, I have some people for you to meet.
Yeah.
And Spider, you and Mr. Mindy were the ones, and so far I will say what I have observed is a true spirit of Pan-Africanism. You see some people who say they're Pan-Africans, right? But Pan-Africanism can be a little painful.
It is.
Because it causes you to look at yourself and see, because all of us need to be purged of ideals. I notice here in Africa, sometimes it's tribalism, and we have to be purged of that. But then from the West, many of us have entitlement, and we don't find ourselves as appreciative, and we think everything should be this. Exactly. So it takes us looking at ourselves and saying, okay, there's certain parts of us, we have to die.
Yeah.
To some ideals that we have in order to achieve that Pan-Africanism. And as I walk around the grounds here on the school, we're interviewing here at the school grounds, throughout the day, there's Africans from all over coming. You have, you know, your Gambians, then you have your Burkina Faso, and then you have your people from born in America, Antigua, Aruba, and they're coming. And this is the first place that I have been, other than a place where you meet other diasporas. This, and I'm trying to stop saying diasporans because I told not to use that term because it has an energy to it.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to stop. But anyway, you come here, you're going to meet all types of people from all over the world that are African, and other people too. We don't discriminate help. You know, if you want to help, we really don't care. But we are trying to reestablish something that was broken, and that's Pan-Africanism. So I think you had. Did you have something to say, or should I get into my next question?
You know what happened is like just what you just said. You want to bring back that was lost, you know, and then in order to bring back what is lost, you need to know what is lost. Okay, if you are taught all your years that you know this was not there, and then somebody come and say no, this was there, where we activate what we call cognitive dissonance. Okay, when people relate to a thing for a period of time, and then of a sudden you tell them, wow, you've been living on a lie, you know, that's very shocking, you know, and they can stone you to death, you know. So all these things happen. So, but also it is very key to know what has been taken away in order to be able to bring it back. And I think that's very key.
Yes,
you know.
Yes. When you were talking to me about cutting the plants and washing in the I mean, these are things that how could we know all of this?
This is it.
You
this
know?
is it because the people who were responsible for taking us away or taking my brothers away with the acceptance of the others who are here, you know, problem has created. Okay, you know, I was raised in the continent. I've never traveled to Europe. I don't know how is it like out there.
Okay.
But what I know is from people who come here, and I am a good learner. I learn from them. Okay, and I also compare what I was told by people who are coming and by the books that I read, and then what is happening on the ground with my brothers and with my uncles and my daddies and my grandparents who never read books. So I can see that okay, if there is supposed to be an original, this is where it is taken from. And many people align with a lot of things, especially African home here, align with most of the Western or invaded cultures, is because they identify what belongs to them in it. Okay, so that being said, there is a story that I was telling you about because what our people sometimes they speak in parables. Okay, there is this story of a plant called Farah and Jambakatam. I did share that with you, and then it carry a moral story that you know one good turns will deserve another. Okay, Farah and Jambakatam are trees that they were neighbor in the same field. Okay, and it came a time when you know Farah and Jambakatam was doing very well, okay? And Farah just naturally grown grudge and bad mind and have ill feeling towards the Jambakatam. And then you see these things, these energies can work, you know. If I'm with you, all I do is have ill feeling with you, it might affect you. It might later turn back to me, but it will affect you who I'm having against, and then and it grow up, and then eventually Jambakaton gets sick, and then you know the plant went and died without Farah helping. But before he passed on, he told the Farah that you know one good turn will deserve another. Okay, just bear that in mind. So when this tree dried up, a firewood cutter came, you know, cut down the Jambakatam because it's dry, and he wanted to use it. I want to use a rope, and then the next plant he see that is a rope-like plant is the Farah. So he started cutting the Farah, pulling up the back of it to make it a rope. So every time somebody come to find firewood, what you look around is Farah to cut it. So which means Farah is now reaping the benefit of his grudge and bad-minded towards Jambakatam. You see, so this is happening between African people. Okay, some people believe that there's an African people that sell their brothers into this. And look what happened to Africa. It's because these great people were sold away. This gave the authority and the power to the white people to come and colonize us. And look, and then here we are today, you know. So whatever you are doing today, the law of karma will apply. Okay, and to me that is very key. And then we need to look at that. And you mentioned something that, like, you know, we use herb. Me, I use herb. I use herb a lot, you know. I use roots and bark of the tree, you know, because that's what I found my people are using. And then it has both angles. You can use it for spiritual purpose. You can use it for physical purpose. If you want strength, there are trees that you can use to get strength. Okay. If you have a spinal issue, there are trees that you can use to repair that, you know. Okay. And then before, we don't used to have those problems, you know. So obviously, and then, like, for instance, you go to a tree and you want to cut the leaf, or, you know, you must have to approach the tree from angles. Okay, you must know the name of the tree, and you must relate to this tree, because you have a relationship with it. That's why you want to use it as a healing point, you know.
So what if I don't know the name?
It will work for you, okay, but it is your responsibility to know what you are doing. You cannot ingest something that you don't know. It is your responsibility, because knowing it will give it the power and the potence of it. Okay. If I give you just this lemongrass, for instance, you drink it without knowing it's lemongrass. You are just drinking tea, but you might lose the healing particle of it, because the body need to communicate that. And then knowing it, the body will decide, because there is this divine intelligence within that identify things. Okay.
Wow.
So it's very key to know what you are doing. Like we did say that if you had a problem, you get into conflict, our elders will tell you that before you come home, go to the seaside and soak into the water and come out.
The full body?
The full body.
Even the head?
Even the head, the whole part of your body, you know.
Okay.
You see, because we know water, salt water also is very key in our spirituality.
Yeah.
So I think those are things that we should know.
Okay.
And then yes, if you want to ask another question. You know.
Yeah, so I'm glad you started bringing it up, because for me it's a little uncomfortable, because we got to get. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person, but I am Hebrew. Okay. So we do have certain things that they say, oh, don't do this, you know.
Yeah.
But I do understand, even in our sacred writings, there were situations of spiritual baths, and these things took place, you know. So what really initiated this conversation is I asked you a question. You remember that question I asked you? I asked Spider, I said, Spider, I want to continue to encourage people to come, but because of the things that are beginning to happen, I believe spiritually, with some of the people that are returning, just these numbers of people that are just falling, I believe it's spiritual. And if you're a spiritual person, you can see that. And I asked Spider, I said, tell me, what can I tell my viewers to encourage them to continue to come, and when they do come, how to remain safe, you know. And this is what started this conversation. So you I kind of share with you how some people, they come and they meet somebody, they get married right away, you know, and that's things we don't even do in America. You know. And so you just kind of opened up to me and shared some things with me on things that I felt like should be shared with the public, on things that you should and should not do. So let's kind of go into that. Just kind of help the listeners understand.
Yeah, one thing I observed from my brothers, you know, and my sisters, that I don't call them diaspora, I call them returnees. Okay, when they return home, you just don't go. You have to know where you are going. And knowing it doesn't mean that you have to go there and come and so, but you have to have an idea. And then you have to mentally prepare yourself. Because I know my people have problem when they were taken to that place. Because naturally it's not their place. And then if you move to a place and then that place is not your natural habitat, you know, it takes some time before you adapt to it. And then during that adaptation period, what you try to do is you don't try to commit yourself. You allow yourself to go. Okay, and then the majority of the people who comes, most of them are not yet ready. They are motivated by what is happening here, by people who move in here, but it need a preparedness to be able to come home and stay. Okay. You see, in Africa, in especially home here, people are so interdependent. That's why I don't celebrate independence. Because me, I don't believe that we need independence. In Africa, we don't independent. We do interdependency. Because this culture of Ubuntu, which is I am because you are, you cannot be independent here. Okay, but also fighting and celebrating for your independence mean that you lose it in the first place. Okay, so we are spiritual people. Okay, this spirituality was taken to somewhere and translated into religion, which is okay. It works for them, but we still remain our spiritual. But we also have to remember that majority of the people who were taken away, we are indoctrinated into this system of religion that they believe is spirituality, and it affects our psyche. So now, if you want to come home, you need to understand how is it like. Okay, and then if you're coming home, you don't bring luggages. When I say you don't bring luggages, you don't bring yardstick from Europe to measure it in here. Okay, it will disturb you. It will disturb your judgment. First thing is, I observe that when people come, the first area that they will settle down is around Kololi, around Senegambe, which is more of a tourist development area. And then we forget that the people living in those tourist development area are not Gambians. Majority are not Gambians. So you are not dealing with Gambians. And then the understanding Gambians will give you an understanding of this side of Africa. Okay, people who are coming from other side of Africa to Gambia, we even have to struggle to to adapt. Okay, and it's strictly commercial. Okay, you will not have a genuine brothers. You might have ones in sometimes, but you might not have genuine brothers who really mean what they say and say what they mean, because they all looking for something. They all hustling to get some money. So, okay, I've seen brothers and sisters who came here and quickly get married and later started complaining this and that. I said, you've done this in a rush. Okay? Take your time. Go to the communities, leave the city area, go to the communities, identify a family, introduce yourself to that family, buy kola nuts. Then this is Amaritoni, because the most African responsibility is anywhere you go, you have to create a community. You have to be part of a community. And to be part of a community, there are protocols to follow. Number one, you have to identify a family that you align yourself with. And this family will initiate you in their family, and they will give you a name and the show name. Then you will do away with your Europeanized surname. Okay, like the people who are living with me, initiate them and give them the Kamara surname. Okay. So anywhere they go, okay, they are identified as a member of that particular family, and then that family is within a community. So if you go outside the community, you are also identified a member of that community. So you see, you have a lot of people around, and nothing goes wrong, and there is always somebody to support when it comes. But because we are also educated by the same people who enslaved my brothers and there, so we also have a problem. You find that Gambians are more European than even the Europeans themselves.
That's true.
So you find that out, and then you see, my sisters and brothers are trying to bleach and stuff like that. So all these things is not
and
much.
wearing the
wig
wigs
and borrowing eyelashes, and you see, I said this is inferiority complex, I call it. And then many people are suffering the consequence of it in their old age. Their eyes are closing because they've been putting on too much eyelashes, and then series of things are happening. But all this is a result of our enslavers' strategy to keep us the way we are. So now, if you plan to come to Gambia, you cannot find out from people who don't come to Gambia, because I've seen YouTubers who talk more about Gambia and they didn't know.
They're not even here.
Exactly. They've never been here. I have friends who said, oh, Spider, I am looking. I said, you are on the land. Why do you? It's like going to a mountain and you want to climb this mountain and you have a map in your hand. And you want to use this map to climb that mountain. Not knowing that the guy who drew this map only look at it from an angle and draw it.
Exactly.
Pack the map. put the map aside.
Yeah.
Go around the mountain, find your ways and climb the mountain.
Exactly.
But if you want to stick to the map, it is impossible. So that's what I was telling some brothers. You don't have to bring the map. Just leave the map. Since you are here, deal with the indigenous. You know, don't involve money and material because that entices people. Your money and material can give you wrong friends, can give you wrong impression, can give you a lot of things, you know. And go on a sisterly and a brotherhood behavior. Okay, introduce yourself to this particular family. Okay, if you don't, we will always identify a family. You see, so all these things are very key.
Okay, so we had to take a quick break.
Okay.
But we're back. Do you remember where you were? Or
we was talking about people coming home and preparedness, both mentally, physically, and culturally, because this cultural class also come in play. Okay. Many people will be surprised by certain attitude here, and it's different. In Europe, people will put their food in plates and eat. Sometimes when they come here, yes, I will put it in plates for them because that's what they get used to. Until when I will introduce them into how we used to do it. That's Ubuntu style. That we have to bring the food in the bell, but basin, one bowl, we eat from it. You know, we don't divide these things. You know, we eat together. So all those things are different. You know, when you come, oh Spider, I prefer to have my plates. You know, I'm more comfortable to eat like that. So you see, the preparedness is not there sometimes. You know, and then like I said, if you also come, I train myself not to expect. You see, expectation creates most of the stresses that we have today. Okay, I expect this to be this, I expect that to be that, and when those expectations are not there, you kind of feel disappointed and then feel bitter and bad about it. You know,
I can account to that. You're right about that.
Yeah, you know, because expectation is one of the key things that many people who are returning home have. Okay, and you've never been to Gambia. Why should you expect? Okay, media is used against African people. We need to understand the media.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, the media is used to keep us apart. They don't want you guys to come here. They don't want you to come home. They want you to stay in America in that, and then suffer whatever suffering you have. You know, but also they make us look like at it as this is nice and everybody want to go to Europe. Okay, the purpose of me building the school is all about that. Is that I know I have to save my people. If I don't save them, which means I have to give them the mental preparedness that whatever you were thinking is in there, it's not there. Okay, it's not gold. It's just glittering, but it's not really gold. And if you go there, you find out. And then I can attest to that. Many people go there. This is Spider. It's like you've been there. I said no. I have listened to people who come home. I know their desperation. I know how bad they feel about it. So all these things are very important. In order to come and stay in Africa, you have to stay in tune with people who understand what is it like here, okay? And then they will help you with their experience. They are here, they can share their experience, and that can prepare you in one way. And also you have to start reading about African culture, okay? It might not tell you well because the African culture also have different perspectives, you know. There are people from Europe who come to write about African culture, and there is also a narration in Africa about African culture. So you see, those two perspectives are very key. When a European came and write about my culture and my history, it might not be like how my grandfather will write it. Okay, and then because we write, yes, but we kind of give this, you know, traditionally, orally. Okay, and then it stay with you. You know, it is incorporated in our stories that we have in the evening and all these things. It tells you morals and stuff. So, but the same thing will happen to our brothers and sisters who just flew to Europe and then have a shock. Okay, and then whatever happened to them because of the shock, they internalize it and worsen it. So that also is something that, you know, I tell my brothers, you know, visit Africa, visit home, and then have a picture of it, have an idea. 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, it's okay. Then you can go back and rethink about it again. Okay, because I have seen people who come here and have problems.
So that's the question. I mean, not to interrupt you, but that's the question. How can you tell when people are genuine? Because I hear you saying, and I understand what you're saying, finding a family, someone to teach you or whatever. But how do you know know
that this family is even genuine.
Yes, that's the key.
Okay, okay. It's very important.
Yes.
You see, here, whoever come from Europe, we are meant to believe that they have money, they have riches. It all started with these white people who come for holidays. It's the concept is tourism. Okay, sometimes I call it terrorism, but tourism.
Yeah.
Tourism is the key, okay, because tourism brings wrong impression to the Gambian people, okay, and it's not even for Gambians, because when I look at the hotels and the restaurants and the supermarkets and the markets that we have here, I come to realize that, it doesn't even belong to Gambians. And the food that you're selling there is not selling it for Gambians, because these foods are all imported from Holland and stuff. So this tourism is not for us. But what are my people's position in that tourism? I was talking to a group of young people. I said, if you go to a marketplace, you find yourself in a marketplace and you don't go to buy and you don't go to sell. You need to look at your status in that market. Maybe you are sold. Maybe somebody is buying you. But what is important, wherever you are, you need to look at your stand. How are you grounding on it? So now, the tourism, majority of the people who are benefiting in the tourist industry are non-Gambians.
That's true.
The supermarkets and the hotels don't belong to Gambians, okay? The restaurants, all these big restaurants don't belong to Gambians, And then I don't know how the Ministry of Tourism get money from the tourism, but I know they get just a percentage of it, So, and then they are sacrificing the best part of our country into tourist in development area. So I said, what happened to our brothers who are also coming? They also confine themselves to those same area. Okay. I was looking at now. I said to them, listen, when you introduce yourself to a family, okay, don't talk about business.
Okay.
Don't talk about anything that is financial. Talk about your interest in being part of the community.
Okay.
That's your first thing that you need to do.
Okay.
Yes, you can buy water, and then also not all the time the food, but try to integrate in that particular community, by not talking about what you can do. Okay. Because you also create expectation for them. Okay. And then I believe that the Gambia, our football team is called, what is the Gambia football team? Scorpion. Gambians are scorpions. Okay. So they might sting you. Some people don't. They will say they are Ali Stinger. They start doing something with you and then sting you. Some will wait until later. This is just something that
I've heard that.
Okay, but in reality, it has to be with person they sting. It depends how you present yourself. Okay. You see, when people think that you are a necessity, you have, wow, meeting this lady. Because I've seen a lot of marriages here. European come and marry these people. I have children here who are a result of that. This brother traveled, come from UK in this repatriation project, and then I give him a home, and he identified a sister. They got married, and in no time before I can advise them, they are married. Before I know that they started having children.
Oh wow!
And then at the end of the day, they come to realize that no, this is the wrong thing to do. After having 3 children, can you imagine? They have to be separated, and then I have to be left with the responsibility. The man go back to UK because he has some problem, and then I have to have these children and stuff like that. So, but it all happened, because there is no advice. Okay. And then it's all based on material and our lack of control and self of what we want. Okay. You see, that's why when I set up the community, I give accommodation to people to settle in. This is free accommodation. All I expect from you is to give to the community whatever you have. It is in skill, it is in ideas, in whatever, share with community. But that also will give you time to learn. Okay. You need a learning process, and this learning process cannot be in the city area. It can only be at community area. So that's why I and my brother here, we are designing a program, this initiation program, that when people come, they can come and look at what is happening, what is possible in the communities,
Okay.
and how we used to do it. Like when people come and want to join our community, what do we do? We look at the size of their family,
Yeah.
and then we identify, okay, you can have this as your compound, but you can also have this as your farm, because normally people depend on the farm.
Yeah.
Okay, but now that's not happening anymore, because we are divided among ourselves
Okay.
during the course of these 12 years of education, and then series of things happen.
Yeah.
But what is more important is how do we accommodate our brothers and sisters coming home, and then how also our brothers and sisters coming home adapt, okay, to what is available here. Okay, that way is going to be our first step.
Okay.
Okay, accommodation, because most of the time you see people who are coming here seem to know a lot. Okay, because they've been exposed to certain reality, and most of those realities are not applicable in these communities. So you have to know how to go about it. If you have a spiritual leader within you, as you talk to him, and then he will advise you as to how to go about it. But most of the time it's all material and financial oriented, the relationship that come up, even this marriage and stuff. That's why they don't last. Okay, somebody is depressed because somebody is trying to depend on someone and stuff like that. So there is no balance in it.
Yeah. So basically what I'm hearing, if I'm just to sum up everything that you're saying, the easiest and the safest way is to come in not talking about what you have or what you want to do, getting into a community, being silent, and just feeling your surroundings. And basically that's some of the same things we would do in America, but for some reason we come here with this fantasy in our head. Oh, we're being reunited back, and we throw everything that brought us to the point, where it did in the U.S. or U.K., wherever, and we just throw caution to the wind, And what about, this is one of the things that I tell people. And this is something that I kind of had to learn. I don't take food from anyone. I'll eat communally, where everyone is eating together. But if I don't take food from someone handing it to me, especially if I don't really know you.
Exactly, yes.
Because, I know of Gambians who have been poisoned or, so those are things that you have to be careful about. You can eat communally, but in order to receive food from someone that's a stranger or someone you don't know, that's not a good idea. Am I right?
It could be, depending on the environment. You see, what happened is, like, one thing we know Gambia for, you see, Gambians, we share.
Yes.
We share a lot.
Yes,
and then,
I know.
if somebody will call you, if you don't eat with me, I feel bad about it.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
So how I grow up, it's just of reason that I know that somebody can kill.
That wasn't something you grew up with.
No, I don't know. Even though you see a dead person, I've never seen a dead person until of recent.
Really?
Yes. Okay, it's all sacred.
Wow.
So majority of the things that are happening in the Gambia, if you look at the crimes in the Gambia and look at those who committed it, okay, for instance, the issue of a brother the alleged brother who killed the sister Sakaina, he's from Freetown. And if you do the analysis, Freetown it's a traumatized country because of the war that happens there. Majority of the people were born during the war, and some, are a product of that environment. So I've seen series of incidents, where they are involved, I can understand that. But for a Gambians, normally Gambians will fight, and which is even very rare.
When we first came, we hardly saw a fight.
Exactly. You don't see the fight. We will quarrel and say this and say this. Yes, that is there. But we are not violent people.
Yes,
okay. Yes, we can. Some people can lie that I lost my father, I lost this, I lost this, I want to go to school, and in reality, that's not the case. But he just want to make some money. money. But being violent, that's out of it. Okay, so I am sure that I have worked in the industry. I used to work as a DJ in one of the big hotels in the city. Okay, and then I know how people carry themselves. Okay, and I also know with the kind of mindset that is brought into the country. Okay, and then how people, because pride is another thing. Pride can kill you sometimes. Okay, you see. Most of the time, we have problems, especially, because we are lonely. I see majority of the ladies coming home to Africa, they come single, okay, and then they want to remain independent because they are more manly than the man, okay, which is I know which is something that has that's a culture, okay.
It's messed up, but it's just the reality.
But that's something that we can work on, because the African here, Gambian, they don't respect a woman who is very single for a period of time, okay, because they know that you are not complete, okay. But because in the West, they work very hard to destroy the family structure, okay, the mother, father, and the children, they are very key. You will go to some compounds here, you want a house for rent, they will not give you because you are single. You are a single man or a single lady. They don't give you house. Okay. So all this, what is to say is the duality should be there, and then you become a family. And then some people will say, okay, if you are single, you cannot join our family. Okay. The only way you can join a family is either you identify somebody. We can give you time to identify somebody to be your partner, and then can, okay, or you bring your partner and then you join us.
Wow, okay. I didn't know that.
So all these things are very key qualities.
Is this specific to Mandinka or all of the tribes?
Majority of the tribes will look into that.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
I didn't know that.
You see, because like you come to my community, you are a single man, okay? And then before you know it, you are interfering with girls. And then there are sacred realities in here that we maintain our children, we maintain our virginity for a particular period of time. Even though the westernization is trying to destroy that still.
Even the guys?
Even the guys.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, okay. I didn't know that.
You see, well, it is. I can see still, some you will see a girl child like my daughter will not leave my house until when she get her hand into marriage. Whereas in the West, at the age of certain age, you can go and live by yourself.
That's true.
And here we control that. And then also the techniques of marriage is not only two people meeting up and marrying. No, you have to look at it from an angle of you extending a family, which means your family and my family will be coming together. So that's why I have sisters who married into our African culture. They married, they are separated, but still they are one and the same with the family. Okay. The family ties still remain because you have children. So I think those are things that you need to study when you come to Africa. The first month of study is not by being in Senegambia or in area. It's going into the community and then seeking to land from a particular family setting. Okay. And then that will give you at least an idea of where to start. And I've seen people who even buy land while they are not yet in the country. And when they came here, they come to realize that the land they bought is somewhere that they cannot even live now. Okay? So all these things are something that will tell you that it's very important. You must have to have a trustee who can tell you this is okay, okay, and then I'm living there, and this is what is happening. Okay.
Wow. So you just added another element to staying safe. Being quiet, not telling all of your business, and then incorporating yourself into a family or, but also maybe cultural classes and indoctrinations. So you said something about starting, I guess, some type of class or whatever where people can...
initiation program. Where when you come, before you go start anything, you come to our programs and then we'll tell you what is expectation and what also other people experience here. Because majority of the people, I don't know why, but many people will come to me with their problem. That's either, and then most of the time they are people that I tell them, I say, whatever you are doing in the city, you cannot have me involved. Okay, because I know how will it end up. And then if I want to be with you there to help you, it becomes competitive. Okay, because there are people who have ulterior motives in supporting you, and then I'll be there to say, okay, this is a brother that returned or sister that returned. I just want to make sure that he is comfortable and have his grounding, and then I'm okay with it. He can do what he want to do. But until then, she need help. Well, some say, no, I cannot. Don't worry about me. You don't have to tell me what to do. I can do this. I have an idea. You know. You see, and you know, America is a big, but this is a more complex community than in America. Because in America, the complexity here is people are intertwined. People are interrelated. When you say a word here, they say when you fought here, before you reach in Serakunda, people say, the whole community will know, oh, he is the one who fought there. So it's easy to know, you know, because people share, you know.
And see, we were brought up to have privacy. You know, every family have their own home. You know, you call before you come. You know, we were brought up in the different, you know, so I get that. You know, I believe it's going to take time to make a mass difference. But what I will say, and we're going to get ready to wrap up the interview, but I believe me and Amadi have found a community I feel comfortable with, you know, but like you said, everything takes time, you know. But my advice, and you know, I also want to send positive affirmations to families out there who have suffered a loss. Our condolences are with you, and we just send affirmations that your loved one pass on to heavenly divine places, and that you will find peace or shalom in your situation. But we want you to take this information and apply it to your repatriation. We don't want the enemy to come. We know in our holy books, and I'm sure some of the African parables have spoken about this day, the day of the children that were dispersed coming back. We know it's going to happen, but I believe that there's an enemy and there's a spirit that does not like this, does not want to see this happen. And I believe this is why this spirit is operating. But what I want to say is we can't let the enemy defeat us. We have to keep moving in the spirit of Ubuntu. I think I'm saying it correctly.
Yes, Ubuntu.
We have to continue to move in the spirit of Ubuntu, but we also have to learn spiritual ways to operate in a system which we don't know. And one of them is spiritual baths, which I have been taking the spiritual baths, but I've been learning a little bit more from my brother here. And to get in, these are things that we're not going to talk specifically about on camera. But if you are coming to the Gambia, and me and Amadi will continue to be, this is our community now, you know. So continue to follow the channels. We will keep you abreast of the classes or the initiations that are going to be going on here to help you with the soft landing, show you what to look for, what, you know, and how to stay safe. Because like you said, when we first came to Gambia, if we saw a fight, it was rare.
Yeah, it is.
We didn't hear about gun violence. We didn't hear about murder. I think we were probably here a year before we even heard about a murder. And so these weren't things. We have begun to see some things change, and it's because you have people coming from all over Africa that are hearing about all of these people coming to Gambia and all of these opportunities. So now you have an influx of people from everywhere. So me personally, I I see Gambians for the most part are peaceful people.
Yeah,
And
I
I
see
think that's why, even when I talk to other Africans from other parts of Africa who have lived all over Africa, they will say their place of choice is Gambia because of the safety. So, you know, we do have challenges, and I say we because we're here now. We've been here over 3 years.
Yes, which is great.
And I do want to take this appeal also to speak to the government. The government, we do appreciate what you have done for us, allowing us to come and abide. However, we do feel that you have a stronger responsibility to treat us a little different. We have a right to be welcomed, and we have a right to have our citizenship. We shouldn't have to wait as long as other cultures who are not from this, their ancestors weren't taken. And I will appeal to the government to look at this a little more in receiving us and not treating us like just a foreigner, because we're not foreigners.
You said that there. Before I go there, I want to remember this. You talk about repatriation. In here, even at home, you can repatriate. You know, I am here. I do a series of practice on repatriation, and it depends how people see repatriation. Yes, physical repatriation is to move from there to come here, but spiritual repatriation is come back to yourself. Okay, so coming back to yourself is very, very key in repatriating. Okay, it has to start within. Okay, and then also we need to understand our energy field. Okay, sometimes we don't know how to translate our energy, and then you know, and that also can kill a series of insecurity. But coming back to the government's responsibility, it is high time for government to recognize that there is a lot of benefits for the country for brothers and sisters that are coming home. So I hate it when I have to go with my brothers and sisters to prepare their alien card. I don't know why, but as long as you are an African, your identity is African and your background is checked, and then you don't have any records of, you know, I think you should be automatically given a residential permit. And then after sometimes, you know, like for you, you spend here about 3 years, and then you've not committed any crime. You should be considered a citizen of this, because you've already identified. There are so many countries that you can go to, but you identify yourself with Gambia and come back home, and then you find people that reminds you of people back home. Obviously, this is your home. So I, on behalf of my brothers and sisters coming here, and to add on to your appeal, that the government should at least, you know, take an extra miles to at least help my brothers and sisters to settle down, and that way we can harmonize our relationship, and then we can yearn for better development.
Exactly.
You know? Yes,
exactly.
You know, I think that's very key. You know.
And thank you for adding that. And I'm just going to add one more thing to it. It's a spiritual premise behind that also. When I believe when people, the people here and the government receive the people that were taken, it's reversing the curse of what was, you know, you see what I'm saying?
No, it's
so as long as you continue to reject and not receive us, the land cannot be healed.
Exactly. And,
so receiving us, now nobody's, you can give some free land, but that's not what we're asking for. Some people may, but we're even willing to pay fair price for land. We're just asking not to be treated like the foreigners. And I know that's not what this video is about. It came up.
Yeah, it came up. But things like that. This is what came. What this is what happens when you are reasoning. You know. Because it all fit in very well.
Exactly.
But like you said, you know, I think it is very important that we prepare ourselves, you know, and then for our brothers, because the place is open, and I know that there are lots that can be done in here. There are lots you can do a lot here with whatever you are bringing home than what you can do with it in there.
Absolutely. Look what happened with the fundraiser.
Exactly. And then look what the people who are ignited by it to come in. So you see, I think that's very important. We should prepare ourselves, and then also the home, people at home also need to prepare themselves, because the kind of education they have also give them wrong perspectives about people coming in.
That's
so
true.
I think we should all work together,
Yes,
and then
and-
work on ourselves also, that when they come, we don't have to have expectation. I expect
Exactly.
you to do this for me, I expect you to do this, and you don't do it, and then it
Yeah.
bring a little bit of conflict.
Yeah.
But I think it took 400 years, or more, for us to be like this.
That's
So to reverse
right.
that psychology, it cannot just be, it have to take some time.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So we have to have perseverance and then
Yes,
endurance to do that.
Yes,
We can
yes,
take it,
yes,
because,
yes.
you
Okay.
see.
Okay, so thank you so much.
Oh, you are welcome.
This went so much deeper than
we anticipated.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I'm glad. This is probably going to be a two-part series.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much, Brother
I am
Spider.
honored. I am honored.
I always like to glean from his wisdom, and we just want to thank you all for sitting with us today, and look forward to sharing more videos with you all to come. Thank you all so much, and until next time, shalom.
And thank you very much for the popcorn.
Yeah.
It just did it. You know?
Okay, and the lemongrass tea.
Yeah, and
the lemongrass
salam,
tea.
And
Yeah.
salam to my brothers and sisters out there.
Yeah.
I wish you very well.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, shalom and thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Abaraka.
Abaraka.